Hey, this is a Hakawati production. Hey you! Welcome to the Men's Room. We have a great show today. There's a guitar in the studio, and that's always a good sign. And Allan Chaaraoui is here with his guitar. He's a fellow Canadian and the frontman of alternative rock band Lazzy Lung. Hi Allan, how are you?
Hi Nadia, I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
So why is the band called Lazzy Lung?
Oh, yes.
And why the two Z's?
All right. So, there's the media-ready version of the story, and then there's the actual story. So I guess I should probably give you the actual story.
Definitely.
When I first started making music, it was mostly instrumental. And I didn't really like the idea of singing, and it was, it's hard work. So I was strictly making instrumental music, and so I was like, Lazzy Lung. And then the double Z thing, well, I don't know, I was like, I was trying to make logos and do some design work, and the one Z just seemed kind of lame. And so I added the other extra Z, and believe it or not, it has been a talking point and something that leaves people. It's like a memorable thing, right? It's like this little thing where you're
I can see that.
An extra Z.
Wow. Definitely, two Z's are better than one. So, why do you say it's hard work to sing?
Well, because you got to write lyrics, and they got to be interesting and coherent. And, playing guitar alone as it is pretty tough. And then throw on top of that, singing in key or in on beat. It's pretty tough.
But I guess you've gotten pretty good at it over the years. What year did you start the band?
I first got into music when I was 11. But in terms of
3 years ago?
Lung, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started out on drums. And I was in a punk band for about 7 years. And I was just sticking to my own, playing the beat. And there was another frontman, so to speak, or it was another friend's band that I was just playing drums for, you see. So I was kind of shy to share my own ideas and or compositions or whatever. And when I finally actually shared some, the band broke up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, for unrelated reasons, I guess. It was we entered in some competition, and they were very, very punk rock. They didn't like the idea of winning competitions or being in any part of any music industry-esque type of thing. And I didn't let that deter me. I continued to study audio engineering and learn more about how to be an independent artist. And so I started picking up the guitar.
So are you self-taught?
Yeah.
Okay. And what age were you when you started playing the guitar?
I guess the internet also played a role.
Kids are learning everything on the internet now. It's incredible. You can really teach yourself pretty much any instrument or any skill.
Actually, and especially now with a lot of the apps that are out there, they make it a lot easier. For me, it was oh my God, we had really bad internet living out in the countryside, and I would try and get tabs to, which are basically numbers instead of notes. And I just figured it out.
That's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then you moved to the Middle East, to Lebanon in 2006.
Oh, yeah. We're fast forwarding quite a bit.
Yeah. You were 11, and then suddenly, before you knew it, you were, I don't know, in your 20s?
Yeah. I first came to Lebanon in around 2006. Before that, I was in Kuwait. I was doing some engineering and consulting work. I was doing a co-op. And I was later on stationed in Beirut, and I had a couple of song ideas, and it was actually the band came into fruition really in the wake of the Israeli war in 2006. I was relocated to Jordan, and I basically had my suitcase, my guitar, and my computer. And I was relocated to Jordan. And I mean, that was my first real encounter or like ever experiencing anything like that. It was,
Like what?
well,
Like the war?
like, yeah, like
Yeah.
a frigging uh, an aerial attack and explosions. And it was
Yeah.
quite frightening.
Yeah, I was here actually, so I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Right. And as frightening as it was, compared to life in Jordan around 2006, I was like, take me back to Beirut. No offense to any Jordanians listening, but I mean, come on. You guys have gotten way better, but back in the day, not a whole lot going on. So I was basically just going from home to work and then back home, and I would write these songs. And a lot of them had to do somewhat with feeling like a lost in translation kind of
Lost Soul.
outcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the album was called Strange Places, right?
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a whole thing that I had to this music thing. I guess you could say that even though I had been living in the Middle East now, or at the time for, 2 or 3 years. So 2006, fast forward 4 years to the release of Strange Places, I always kind of felt like an outsider and, a foreigner. I'm making English rock music in a place that is dominated by either, tarab music or Arabic pop music, debke music. And here it is, we're making rock and roll in English. But, obviously at the time, it was really well received, and we won a bunch of awards.
You did?
Yeah.
Who gave you awards?
Well, my mom, mostly. She was like, good job, buddy.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's what counts.
That's the best award ever.
right?
Yeah.
Shout out to all the moms listening. Yeah, we
Yeah.
love you.
Yeah, but so who seriously, where, I mean, is there an indie rock music, English music scene in the Middle East? I mean, is it sizable, and are there like awards for it?
I mean, yeah. Okay, wow. That's we're talking about a huge question right there. We could spend the whole podcast talking about the music scene and where things have gone, and especially like from 2005, 2006 onwards to the current, present day. But certainly there are a few, I guess, key places where bands and musicians and aspiring artists cut their teeth.
Where would those places be?
Right. So, for example, every year, AUB has something called Outdoors. And it's this big coffee house / outdoor festival, so to speak, mostly for AUB students. But over the years, a lot of bands have come and really made a name for themselves. Even Mashrour Leila, for example, built their fan base and had some of their earlier shows at AUB. Of course, they were AUB students, but a lot of names, that you hear about today started out
Interesting.
playing there. You also have, for example, the Fête de la Musique on the 21st of June, on the summer solstice.
Where's that?
It's all over downtown. So it could be in Martyr Square, at the Roman Baths. It's grown and grown year after year. Shout out to Michel Polikovich and the people from the French Institute or the Institut Français, who are very good at making the French Institute program.
I love your Québécois accent. That's awesome.
Tu connais, man?
Ben oui,
Ah,
c'est
ouais,
pas
ouais.
pire, ça.
Yeah.
I love it.
So God bless the initiative that they do every year, which essentially is this big open invitation to anyone and everyone to play these huge stages with great gear. And that's how we also kind of gained our, let's say, I don't know.
Millions of fans?
Yeah, all the millions of fans. Lebanese random public.
Yeah, no,
you
I actually
know?
heard you have quite a following. So of course, I say that in jest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the millions. It's
No,
tough
it's-
to get to that number, but I know you have quite a few fans that have been following you over the years. Is it the scene, the rock scene? Is it only in Lebanon? Is there anything going on in the rest of the region? Are you accepted as a genre?
First of all, I wouldn't categorize it as rock because that's too pigeonhole. That's too narrow. But independent music in the Arab world is massive. And
Really?
Oh, sure. If you don't have your ear to the ground, or if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, like, I'm sorry, bro, but you missed the
Yeah.
bus. But Jordan is exploding and has been for quite some time in terms of hip hop. Artists like Synaptic. You have rock bands like Jadal. You have rock bands like, and I'm butchering their names probably, like Akhir Zafir,
That's pretty good.
right? Rabba in Egypt. You know, there are a bunch of bands that are out there as well. Sharmoofers, shout out. Karaoke, Shadi Ahmed. They're like, I'm definitely missing out. Most recently, there's a dude, Dirty Backseat. This guy, Mo Hani. He's pretty cool. He's come out with some pretty cool
A
stuff.
lot of hip hop, right?
No, not necessarily. The one hip hop guy that I mentioned from Jordan is Synaptic, and he's killing it out there. But in terms of like local hip hop here in the middle and in Lebanon, I mean artists like Chino, Farid Al-Atrash. I mean, now we're just like naming names. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I never heard of most of those. So
Really?
you're saying it's growing and they're killing it, but obviously they're indie still, and they kind of haven't made their way into the mainstream in certain ways.
Well, interesting enough, it's tough. There certainly aren't as many platforms, so to speak.
I mean,
right?
if you turn on the radio, in the States or in Canada, you have stations that kind of give some space for indie music to a certain degree.
Mostly college radio.
Yeah,
and
sure.
university radio, like in Canada, back home in Ottawa, you had CKCU, you had Chuo. These were some of the more prominent radio stations, but I mean, like FM radio.
Yeah, of
it
course,
was also
the commercial.
the commercial radio stations. It was also very hard to get on to those stations.
Yeah.
But
you don't have those university radio stations. You don't have that phenomenon in the Middle East, do you?
You don't, but there's certainly a group of people that have radio shows, like, for example, Ruptured. If you've ever heard of Ruptured, it's on Radio Liban 96.2. And he would feature some of the local acts in the region and abroad.
Cool.
Shout out to, Ziad Naufal and the Tune Fork family that have been doing an excellent job of kind of giving artists a platform.
Okay. So you talked about your first album, Strange Places. You're a Canadian, lands in the Middle East, war breaks out, you end up in Jordan. So you record this album that's kind of about your initial strong feelings of feeling like an outsider. And I guess that was a kind of a successful album.
Well, Rolling Stone magazine were at that time just opening up. They were doing a Rolling Stone Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they stopped, right? Yeah. They were for a couple of years.
Right. They had a good run, and we were their sweethearts.
Amazing,
because within the first year of them opening, they had a battle of the bands. We were flown over to Dubai. We competed, and we won that shit.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And so that was our first victory. That kind of solidified or crystallized us as serious players, and people started kind of paying attention to us, so to speak. And more opportunities came through, Shortly thereafter, Dubai was like a huge element to our success. A lot of things were happening, like www.me was this brilliant platform. We were really lucky, and yet again, we came out victorious, and we had the amazing opportunity through www to fly out to Los Angeles and record at the world-famous Capitol Records.
Wow.
where Bob Marley, Bob Dylan, the Foo Fighters, Coldplay, like you name it, anybody who's anybody at one point in time recorded at Capitol Records.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what did you record there?
That was the dawn of our second record, Sailor's Delight. So
did you sail over to LA?
We flew over like 16 hours.
On a budget?
No, man. Ray-Ban, shout out to the folks at Ray-Ban and Triple W. They had us set up. They did a whole documentary. You can check it out online, and you can see the whole story from start to finish. It was really fucking frightening. Because you don't realize it. Like, yeah, it's all fun and games. Like, yeah, man, we won this thing and da-da-da-da-da. We're being flown over. And it's like camera obscura. Are you familiar with this term, camera obscura? Which is basically when, like, we have our normal behavior, like you and I, but as soon as there's a camera on you, all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's like this change in mannerism.
Yeah.
There's like
what
this.
do you mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people they really have a hard time dealing with it.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know that's what it was called, though.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I finally have a diagnosis.
Hey, man.
Okay, thanks.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So performance anxiety. Like, I mean, essentially, we have to within a certain amount of time in a fixed time frame, go fly. Record, release.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
And so it's like, do a good job in this crazy, fancy studio.
Was it a song that you'd written before? Like you were ready, you had practice, you were like...
Yeah, we practiced, but two things really fuck shit up for us. Like, sorry guys, our bassist wasn't issued a visa.
Yeah, that can be a problem.
Right, so I actually scared the shit out of the people who were putting this whole thing together because I said, listen, man, we didn't get a visa for our bassist, Ahmed, and it's a no-go. Like, it's just not going to work out. Cancel the whole thing or postpone it until it does work out. Mm-hmm. And they were like, listen, I don't think you realize what it is that you're saying. So let us come back with a solution so that we can go forward with this. And of course, Ahmed didn't really want us to lose out on this opportunity either. So he was willing, and God bless him for that, to relinquish that emotional attachment to, for the betterment of the band.
Let you hire another bassist while you were there? Yeah,
they came up with a nice cushy deal of basically saying, look, we're going to get a really famous person from a really famous band.
Who was it?
Martin Lenoble. He played in like Porno for Pyros and Velvet Revolver, I believe.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Christina Applegate's husband. Do you know Christina Applegate? Remember that movie Married with, or not TV show?
Of course.
Married with Children?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kelly, was it?
Yeah,
Kelly. Kelly's husband.
That's him, Lenoble?
Martin Lenoble. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So did you meet Kelly? Was she there?
I'm not at liberty to say.
You're joking.
There was a non-disclosure.
10 years later, I think you can disclose it.
Nah, man.
I think you can disclose everything.
These are the
deep, dark
tricks
secrets.
and the trades of Hollywood.
I think you're okay. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I think you're a good secret keeper.
Oh, I'm the worst secret keeper? You have no idea. Okay.
Well, I'm very confused now. So it didn't go well. Is what you're trying to tell me.
Well, no, it went as well as it could have. The other thing was, so performance anxiety. Our drummer had never been in a studio environment before in his life. Great drummer, really cool guy. But I mean, it's a lot of pressure, right? Mm-hmm. So we weren't in our most comfortable state.
Sure.
And so, it definitely translated on tape and it definitely translated on camera, We made the best of it. It was cool. It was an experience and a half, and we walked away in a bittersweet kind of thing because we really wanted. And you knew that
you didn't perform as well as you should have, and this was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity where if you had, impressed everyone, who knows what would have happened to the band, right? Is that kind of your thinking at the time?
It is, at the end of the day, just an advertisement for Ray-Ban to have some kind of rock band be like, brand association.
But you're meeting the right people. You're in the right place.
Oh, certainly.
It's a great opportunity.
And from that sprouted yet another cool part of our history, which was meeting Bill Cody on that trip to Los Angeles, who is a film director who had tight connections with rock band The Black Lips. So we met with Bill Cody, and he was like, hey guys, we were planning on doing a Middle East tour and documentary. Would you guys like to, jump on the bill? And we were going to do like a double bill Middle East tour. And so, yeah, we were so stoked, and we solidified that arrangement. And, one thing that, you notice, there's an ingredient for independent rock music or whatever here in the Middle East. Anywhere else in the world, it's very kind of like work hard, earn the money that you can from putting a lot of effort into shows, and you earn that, and then there are more cities to play in Canada and da-da-da-da-da. But in the Middle East, the hustle is find a sponsor.
Okay.
Find a sponsor, whether it's a liquor company, an energy drink, a soda company, a friggin' you name it. And it's so funny because it's like that is what legitimizes your band here in some capacity.
Yeah.
For some artists.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're sponsored by this. And so
Wait, did you get a
come.
sponsor?
We got a sponsor for the tour. We had multiple sponsors.
Yeah, of course.
We had multiple. I mean, it's a huge undertaking. We had like 10 or 11 or 12 people. I'm pretty sure it was 12 that we had to, put in hotels and buses and it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
As it is to just tour from city to city. It's a whole nother thing to tour country to country. I mean, we did Cyprus, Egypt, Alexandria, Jordan, Dubai, Lebanon, and the Black Lips were so gung-ho, but they had Vice with them. So they took, Vice flew them out, I guess, or they flew themselves out, I can't remember, to Iraq. And they had a performance in Erbil.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
bold.
this was all in the wake of the Arab Spring. So it was all very like against all odds. Rock band from the Middle East with American rock band. Tour, war-torn, politically unstable wasteland that is, which
I
is,
like it.
right? I don't.
Really?
Oh, no.
Why?
Because it's such a bullshit narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like you don't care because at the end of the day, this is all political stuff that's happening.
Right.
And life goes on.
Yeah, I mean, we were just trying to have a good time, and it was cool. They had a new perspective. It was their first time ever performing in this part of the world, and I doubt that they regret anything.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Of course, there were bumps on the road, and if anyone listening to this knows anything about, oh man, just putting on a production, period, and then add on top of that the adversities that come with performing in the Middle East, like the lack of, backline or...
What's backline?
Backline's like amplifiers and drums, equipment.
Okay.
Okay.
So what are some of the other challenges of performing in the Middle East as an indie English rock band?
Well, the challenges are people staying resilient. The challenges are that even when the going gets tough, you got to stay strong and stay together, because a lot of people are in this for the applause. A lot of people are in this for the the fame and glory and the virtue of whatever, you know. And so once that kind of fades away or becomes difficult, they give up. And I guess I'm stubborn in that way. And I haven't.
So you did Strange Places, then you did a second album called Sailor's Delight. Segue. Well, because you're talking about, basically you're the main, you write all the songs for the band. That's why you're the constant who keeps, and then people are revolving around you. And initially you had close friends that were with you. They
fuck them guys.
Yeah, fuck them. Then you had other people. Who do you have now? You have good people with you now?
I've got some young ones.
Oh, that's good. They don't know any better, and they're still like
yes,
hopeful.
that's the trick. Exactly. You got to find some like
unjaded.
Unjaded, just totally fresh, green, and you corrupt them later.
Okay, so that's good.
No, I mean I'm just joking. Everybody, come on, relax.
Of course not.
Okay.
Do you think that a lot of your fans who speak Arabic in their day to day don't really understand much of your lyrics? They're just like, yeah, this is cool music, and they're just like,
sure,
going along
because
with it.
energy is, if you see something that looks entertaining, right, you're gonna get down. I'll give you a perfect example. You know the Gypsy Kings? You speak Spanish?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know the lyrics to Bambaleo?
By the way, the Gypsy Kings are French. You know that, of course.
What?
They don't speak
They're not
Spanish.
Gypsies?
No, and they don't even speak Spanish. They just sing in Spanish. But anyways, interesting that you're using them as an example.
I'm using the
what
Gypsy
the hell does
Kings.
Bamboleo mean anyways, right?
It's fun, is what it means to me.
Does it?
Yeah. Do you tell me that you hear Bambaleo and you're not fucking losing your mind immediately? Bambaleo.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm trying to say is that I don't speak Spanish. You don't speak Spanish. We hear Bambaleo. We go crazy. Pour out the shots. Let's get this going. You know what I mean? Like
it's the weirdest choice of song to describe that story. Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Nobody plays that song.
What?
Who plays that song anymore?
They literally go anywhere on the planet and that song's coming on.
Really? It's 100%. Old school. I'm just going to say there's some more timely examples that you could have used that there's one a couple years ago, like Enrique Iglesias.
You lost me.
Yeah. He's also a Spanish singer.
Yeah.
Maybe you know his dad.
Who? Julio.
Yeah.
Julio Iglesias. And their bastard son, Coolio Iglesias.
Yeah, that's
right?
that's the third. That's the other guy.
Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah, exactly. So, I watched your latest video earlier today called... Wait, let me remember what it's called.
Swim.
Shadows.
Oh, Chasing Shadows.
Chasing Shadows.
Swim the Shadows.
Is that the last one you did?
Well, the fun thing about being an independent band and the fun thing about buying...
New equipment?
No. It's like you have to do the pre-release, right? So like you set a deadline for yourself. So I set a deadline for 2018 because essentially we stopped Lazzy Lung as of 2013. Oh,
so there's a big gap between the second and third. Yeah.
Technically more than that, but 5 years. So what do? I'm going to register the third album and I'll be done with it in 5 years.
Yeah.
I'll be done it in 5 years. And I totally wasn't. And that bus was just like, sorry, we're taking off. And it released everything. So it's an internal fuck up. But yeah, it's marked as it was done on 2018, but it actually didn't come out till 2019. That's a little inside Hakawati secret. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
You heard it first here with Men's Talking.
You totally butchered that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should stick to your own material.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, so to wrap this all together, because here it is, you the listener, and you, Nadia, you're hearing all this like organized or disorganized chaos. And that's precisely what I'm talking about in our third record and the first song, Chasing Shadows. So I realized that as an artist, I've been chasing my past and living with and trying to, as you say, your past casts, or your father casts a big shadow and you're trying to outlive or whatever. So I kind of felt like that for a while, and I'm coming to terms with learning to let go. And that is a very central theme to Swim the Tide, which is to basically go with the flow, let the current take you, and stop trying to fight the currents, because that, there are certain things that you cannot control. As a Virgo, not as a band leader, I'm supposed to be the one who is in control, right? And so it's very difficult for me when things go out of whack. But me kind of becoming at peace with that. Also, a more of a heavy kind of a, again, downer of a subject. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. And
that was a couple years, or 2016?
Yeah. And it was like being hit with a ton of bricks. It was like the idea of, losing your mom. You always hear about other people who's like family, you're like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry you got cancer. Oh, it's so sad. And you're like, it'll never happen to me.
Well, you don't really say that, but it's hard to imagine. You do?
Oh, 100%. I'm like,
that's not very nice.
I mean, I'm just being honest.
Okay.
It's just like, And that's kind of I'm sure there are other people who are like, yeah, man, it's really too bad.
I mean, unless it happens to you, you don't really know what it means. And it's kind of superficial thoughts.
So that was an eye-opening, life-changing kind of experience, of course. And,
Are you guys really close? Are you close with your mom?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My mom's everything.
She lives in Canada still, in Ottawa?
Yeah.
How often do you guys talk?
Just about every day. But sometimes with work and being out of reach. It's
so regularly.
Like yeah. I mean, I'm lying. Not every day.
Every month, at least every month. If not.
No, for sure. But goddamn 3G, so expensive,
Yeah.
But like you want to FaceTime or whatever. But essentially, this whole thing,
it changed you. It affected you.
It affected me in a big way, and it was kind of me just accepting whatever the hell life is throwing at me, and just being like, all right, okay,
no control,
just let it happen, and try to make the best of it.
Let's tell everyone she's okay, right? She's
doing
well?
She kicked the shit out of cancer's ass.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, so shout out to Mama Chaaraoui.
Yeah, that's really good. Because that video that I watched today was it's not a joyful video, and it's very nostalgic. There's a lot of clips from the past shows of the band. There's a lot of you out. There's a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of vomiting. There's a lot of
a lot of vomiting.
Oh, there's one vomit scene. Yeah, I'm exaggerating. Well, that's unusual. But it's obviously yeah. What? Yeah. It's not unusual?
Well, no, it is 100% unusual. You would never see this being put out by any local independent or any artist, period, which is this super ultra realistic kind of self-deprecating image. Everyone else that's out there is constantly, I'm the shit, man. I'm killing it in life, and life is great, and I'm sitting on a fancy car, and I want beautiful women, and and that's just not really realistic. I mean, I shot that in my apartment. Pedros Temizian, an amazing director who's worked with some of the greatest local talents in the city and abroad. He's just very, very cool. He has a totally different approach towards coming up with a creative idea and the whole process. And he's definitely someone who can make something, like, especially in film, it's difficult to make something look really good on a indie band budget. Okay, like he's used to working with big multinational brands and stuff like that, making super videos, right? But he's still able to come up with these really, really creative and fascinating clips.
Yeah, because that video is memorable. And it would be so easy to do, like what you said, to just do, like, show you guys playing, there's so much kind of cliche in the world of, like, music videos. There's so many cliches in some ways. You don't think so?
Yeah, no, definitely there are. I mean, I still feel like it's kind of cliche, like in the whole, like, oh, they're drinking and they're drunk.
Yeah, but the way that you're drinking in the video is so real. It's
Well, I
like,
was.
and it looks real. It
Well, it
looks like
was.
someone was filming you when you were out with your friends.
100%. That was.
Yeah, it's funny though because combining that kind of party feeling, which is what you're talking about,
Yeah.
with the nostalgia of showing the stuff from the past, it kind of feels sad and dark.
Yep.
And it feels like there's definitely, it's coming from a dark place. And do you think that this is what, is this something that you think as an artist drives you to create music? Having this sense, this kind of heartbreak is one way to put it, of like disappointment?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm in perpetual breakup. And that kind of really sums up, because I mean, a lot of the stuff that I talk about or sing about is heartbreak. It is, the heartbreak of being away from home. That's Strange Places. And the ultimate heartbreak of, living like there's no tomorrow, which is Sailor's Delight. I mean, we were really, beating ourselves up, drinking ourselves to death, so to speak. There was also this whole concept, because don't forget, 2010, 2011, what was the big fear in 2012? Do you remember?
No.
Do you know anything about the Mayan calendar?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The end of the world.
The end of the fucking world. Yeah. So that was a really fascinating kind of theme to me, this idea that life as we know it could end. And what would you do knowing this information? How would you behave? So the idea was like, we're going to go guns a-blazing. The apocalypse is coming down. Well, we're going to drink, live, love, and go down swinging. That was the laugh in the face of the apocalypse. And I feel like Lebanese and a lot of Arabs as a whole, Palestinians and any disenfranchised people, that's kind of the way they roll, is they're like, fuck it, it's going down or it's not, man. It's going down or not.
Yeah,
so,
except with the different accent.
Right. They're not from Alabama.
No.
It's going fucking down, man. We're going to take this here and stamp that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally true. And this kind of translates to that. And it translates also to maybe, which brings me to the fact that you're Canadian. You came here in 2006. You have heartbreak about Canada, but you're still here. So why are you still here?
Because Lebanon is a sexy mistress. It is a domestically violent relationship where the sex is too good to leave. You ever been in one of those where it's like, oh man, he beats me up all the time?
No.
But
I
really
could see
good in bed.
I could see how Lebanon kind of you could use that as an
right?
analogy. Yeah.
Lebanon's so sexy, but yet why are you so crazy, Lebanon?
Yeah.
Lebanon's that girlfriend or boyfriend who's texting you at like 4 a.m. being like, "Shoo, yallah."
Yeah. Does that happen to you?
All the time.
Wow.
The reason why I get texts at 4 a.m. is because my girlfriend lives in a different time zone.
A different time zone.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right.
I know that you had a lot more to tell us about. You have I'm sure you have a million stories from your tours, from your nights out in Jamaica, living it up before the end of the world. So let's stay in touch. And maybe you'll get to come on another time. Next time you have something coming up, we'd love to hear about it.
Sure. Thank you so very much for having me.
All right. What are you going to play for us?
So I'm going to play a somewhat happy, somewhat bittersweet song, so to speak. Okay. It's our first track off of the record titled Summertime Oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Quit my job, I never really wanted one. Cashed out and put all my cards down. And I'm beating down this highway. We've got what we need for now. Spinning out like crazy. We've got what we need for now. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Sunset, summertime oblivion. Hang out, never ever come home. Sunset, summertime oblivion. And I'm beating down this highway. We've got what we need for now. Spinning out like crazy. We've got what we need for now. Well, it seems like a dream, but it feels like a joke. Nobody's laughing and you're out for broke. Summer's not the same without you. Summers never simmer like they used to.